In this video, we're going to look at two ways of creating the records for new corporations in the corporate record system. The first way is to create a completely blank corporation and create all of its records from scratch. The second way is to copy the records from a corporation that is somewhat similar to what you want the new corporation to look like. For example, if you regularly incorporate shelf companies as the initial incorporator, shareholder, and director, then you can create a template corporation whose information you can then copy to a new corporation. Let's look at the starting from scratch situation first. On the main screen of your Corporate Needs Corporate Records workbook, you will see the Input to Blank Registers button. Pressing that button will take you to a sheet to create a blank new corporation. On this sheet, enter the name of the new corporation whose records you want to create. Then enter a unique entity ID for the corporation. It has to be different from the IDs for all other corporations in your system. One approach is to use characters in the incorporation or registration number. Then enter the date for the initial record, such as the actual or proposed incorporation date, and then click on the Check and Create buttons to create records for a new corporation. There's also a spot to put in a time. I always put in 09:00:00 with a 24-hour clock. I will have more to say about time towards the end of the video. We can then return to the main screen to see that the newly created entity exists in the drop-down selection menu and that we can retrieve data for that entity. When we click on corporate names, we can see that there is minimal information for the corporation, and when we look at the other areas, there is no information for the corporation. It is a blank sheet upon which you can construct your information and then save to the database. Now to look at the second way of creating records for a new corporation, we press the Copy from Existing Corporation button, which takes us to a sheet to copy an existing corporation. At the top of the screen, we select from a drop-down menu the name of the corporation whose records we want to copy to the new corporation. We then enter a new corporate name, new ID, and initial date, the same as we did when we were creating a blank entity. Press on the check button to see if a corporation already exists for the specified ID. And then press the Create button to create records for a new corporation. When we return to the main screen, we can then check to see how the information from the initial corporation has been copied to the new corporation. The names, share numbers, certificates, etc. will appear just as they were for the initial corporation. You can see that each start date has been set to the date specified in the Copy from Existing sheet. You will note that the second date, such as the removal or cancellation date, is still set to the original date and may now be before the start date in some cases. Issues like this will be addressed in your edits of the new corporation's records, and the final result will be saved into the database. Earlier I mentioned that I would have more to say about time towards the end of the video. Time is not used in the current release of the software, but may be used in future releases to address the timing of multiple transactions that take place on the same day, such as the allotment of shares followed immediately by a series of transfers of the same shares. In the current release, these transactions would all be entered with the same time, and the system would know who received the initial allotment and who owned what shares at the end of the day, but it would not create correct text for all the intra-day transactions. Generally, this is not a significant issue in maintaining corporate records. Thank you for viewing this video, and I hope that you enjoy creating new corporations.